What if I told you that the key to happiness can be explained in just 30 seconds? It might sound like clickbait, but the ancient Stoics, who lived 2,000 years ago, would wholeheartedly agree with me. Today, we're going to break down their timeless, simple, and incredibly powerful formula for happiness, and you'll be shocked how relevant it is right now in your own hectic and uncertain life. This single idea has the power to completely shift your perspective on stress, problems, and life itself. By the way, do you consider yourself a happy person right now? Write yes or no in the comments before we get started. I'm genuinely interested to know. First, let's set aside the stereotypes. When we hear the word stoic, we usually picture some emotionless person who just doesn't care about anything. That couldn't be further from the truth. Forget the image of bearded sages in togas debating abstract theories. Stoicism isn't some dry, ancient philosophy. It's a practical operating system for the human mind. It was established in ancient Greece and perfected in Rome. And what's most striking is that its main proponents were incredibly diverse people. Epictetus, a former slave who achieved complete inner freedom, Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome and an imperial advisor, and Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who governed a massive empire during an era of wars and plagues. If this system worked for them, facing challenges of that magnitude, then it can absolutely be useful to us today. So, what is the essence of this philosophy? It lies in one simple yet revolutionary idea, the dichotomy of control. While the name sounds complex, the concept is fundamentally simple. The Stoics argued that everything in the world can be split into just two distinct categories. Category 1, things completely under our control. Category 2, things that are absolutely not up to us. That's it. That's the entire foundation. Imagine two circles. In the first, you place everything you can directly influence. In the second, you put everything else. According to the Stoics, 99% of human suffering, anxiety, and frustration stems from confusing these two circles. We waste our energy, time, and mental well-being trying to control things that are entirely outside of our jurisdiction. It's like trying to steer the weather with a stern voice. It's pointless and utterly exhausting. For the Stoics, true happiness begins the moment you draw that line clearly and abide by it. Let's break down what belongs in that first circle, the circle of our control. The list is surprisingly short, but it holds all the real power. First, our thoughts and judgments. You alone decide how to interpret any given event. Second, our goals and aspirations, the things we choose to move toward. And third, our actions, what we choose to do or not do, moment by moment. Essentially, the only thing we truly control is our internal world. For example, you can't control whether it rains, but you can control your decision to grab an umbrella, or even your attitude toward the rain itself. You might see it as depressing, or you might see it as the perfect excuse to stay home with a book. The event is the same, but your reaction is completely your choice. This is the true freedom the Stoics talked about. It's not external, it's internal. Now let's turn our attention to the second circle, the things completely outside our control. This list is vast, encompassing virtually everything external. It includes other people's opinions of you, their actions, your long-term health. You can certainly influence it, but you can never fully control it. Your wealth, it could vanish at any moment. The weather, the global economy, the past, the future, the outcome of most events. The Stoics were realists. They understood that life is a game where we are dealt a specific hand of cards. We don't choose the cards, but we do choose how to play them. Trying to get angry about a bad deal or demanding a better hand from fate is a direct path to misery. Wisdom lies in accepting the cards you have and playing them in the best possible way. This takes an enormous weight off your shoulders. You no longer have to feel responsible for the entire world. Consider this simple example. Imagine you're preparing for a crucial job interview. What part of this situation is actually within your control? You can prepare perfectly. Research the company, rehearse your answers, choose the right outfit, and make sure you get enough sleep. This is your circle of influence. Now, what's outside your control? The recruiter's mood, the presence of other, possibly stronger candidates, unexpected traffic on your way there, or even the company suddenly freezing the position at the last minute. A Stoic would direct 100% of their energy toward preparation. They will do everything in their power. But as soon as they walk out of that interview room, they mentally release the outcome. They won't spend weeks tormenting themselves, waiting for the call, and constantly running through different scenarios in their head. They will tell themselves, I did everything I could. The rest is simply not up to me. And that is tranquility. The core idea here is energy redirection. Each of us operates with a limited supply of mental and emotional energy. We wake up every day with a certain charge, a metaphorical battery, and we can drain that charge worrying about the exchange rate, getting angry over a nasty online comment, or obsessing over what others might think of us. The result? By the middle of the day, that battery is dead, and we haven't accomplished a thing in the zone of our real control. Stoicism proposes we act like shrewd, smart investors. Invest your energy solely in the assets that you own, namely your thoughts and your actions. Everything else is an external, volatile market where you are guaranteed to lose your resources. When you stop draining energy on futile worries, you unlock a massive resource reserve to take action where it truly matters. Let's talk about the single most painful issue for so many of us, the opinions of other people. We spend a tremendous amount of energy trying to please, to impress, and to avoid criticism. The Stoics would argue this is one of the worst possible investments of your time. And why is that? Because the thoughts inside someone else's head are the one thing furthest removed from your control. You could be the kindest, smartest, most incredible person on the planet, but there will always be someone who simply doesn't like you. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Trying to manage external opinion is like trying to mould a statue out of water. The moment you stop trying to please everyone and accept that someone else's opinion is their business, not yours, you unlock incredible freedom. You begin to act based on your own core values, rather than out of the fear of being judged. But what happens when something truly terrible strikes? An illness, losing your job, a betrayal? Do the Stoics truly call for us to just resign ourselves and feel nothing at all? Absolutely not. They don't preach indifference, they preach discernment. When misfortune strikes, a Stoic still experiences pain, fear, and sadness. These are natural initial reactions. But then he asks himself the most important question: what part of this situation can I actually control? He cannot undo the event itself, but he can control his response to it. He can choose not to fall into despair, but to seek a solution. He can choose not to blame the world, but to extract a lesson. He can choose not to break, but to demonstrate courage. This is precisely where Stoic virtue resides, not in the absence of challenges, but in responding to them with dignity. Imagine a ship caught in a violent storm. The captain cannot command the wind or the waves, but he can keep a firm grip on the helm. Your mind is that helm. Let's dive deeper into the concept of judgments that we've been discussing. Epictetus famously said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." That is a brilliant and profound observation. Imagine you miss a flight. The event itself is neither good nor bad. It's simply a neutral fact. But it's your judgment that instantly turns it into a catastrophe. This is awful. My vacation is ruined. I'm such a failure. It's these thoughts that cause you pain, not the physical fact of missing the gate. But what if you adopted a different judgment instead? This is inconvenient, but it's an opportunity to practice flexibility. What is my next move right now? Or even, maybe this is a blessing in disguise. Who knows what fate just protected me from? The Stoics teach us to insert a crucial pause between the external event and our internal reaction. This pause is where our freedom lies, the freedom to choose how we evaluate the situation. This is a skill we can, and absolutely should, train like a muscle. So, we've established that happiness doesn't rely on external circumstances. What then does it depend on? The Stoic answer is both simple and complex. It depends on virtue. For them, living happily and living virtuously are one and the same. They are synonymous. Virtue isn't some dull moral lecture. It is the perfection of human reason. It is the ability to make the right choices in every situation. The Stoics highlighted 4 core virtues: wisdom, understanding what is good, what is bad, and what is indifferent; justice, fair treatment of others; courage, the capacity to endure hardship; and temperance, the mastery of one's desires. And most importantly, all these qualities lie entirely within our circle of control. No one can stop you from being wise, just, or courageous. Your happiness is entirely your own internal project. Let's look at the virtue of courage through a modern example. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is taking action in spite of it. Imagine you have to deliver a major presentation in front of a large audience. You feel afraid. Your heart is pounding. Your palms are sweating. This is a natural reaction, and it is entirely outside of your control. But your action, to step onto that stage and start speaking, that is completely within your power. Stoic courage means acknowledging your fear, but refusing to let it dictate your behaviour. It means doing what must be done, regardless of the discomfort. And every time you act this way, you aren't just completing a task. You're strengthening your character. You become stronger. For the Stoic, happiness is not constant pleasure, but the deep realization that you are capable of handling life's challenges while maintaining your inner dignity. What about the virtue of justice? This quality governs how we interact with others. The Stoics believed we are all parts of a single whole, citizens of one unified world. Therefore, to act unjustly is to harm not only the other person, but also yourself, because it disrupts the harmony of the whole system. In their view, justice wasn't merely about following the law. It encompassed empathy, honesty, and genuine goodwill. And once again, this is entirely within our control. You might be deceived, betrayed, or offended. Those are the actions of others. But absolutely no one can force you to become the deceiver, the betrayer, or the malicious person. Maintaining your inner integrity, your decency, despite the imperfections of the world, that is the true manifestation of Stoic justice. Your inner state must never be held hostage by the misconduct of others. Temperance, or moderation, is yet another cornerstone virtue. In our consumer-driven world, this is perhaps the most relevant concept we can embrace. The Stoics taught that desire, especially when unchecked, is the root cause of suffering. When we desperately crave external things, money, fame, or fleeting pleasures, we essentially surrender control of our happiness to them. If we fail to attain them, we suffer. If we succeed, we quickly adapt, and the cycle immediately demands more. It is truly an endless chase. Moderation is not about rigid asceticism or denying ourselves everything. Rather, it is the ability to genuinely enjoy what we already possess without becoming a slave to our cravings. It is understanding the crucial difference between what we genuinely need versus what we merely want in the heat of the moment. Temperance is an internal discipline that ultimately grants us freedom from the eternal pursuit. And finally, we arrive at wisdom. This is the foundational cardinal virtue, the one that ties all the others together. In Stoicism, wisdom is precisely the ability to clearly discern the boundary between what is within our control and what is not. It is the skill of making correct judgments about events and understanding the true nature of things. A truly wise person doesn't rejoice excessively over a lottery win because they understand that money is an external, transitory thing. Similarly, they do not despair over setbacks, knowing that the failure itself is less important than how they choose to respond to it. Wisdom is the compass that guides us toward what is truly important, the development of our character and living a life of virtue. And that compass is always with you, residing within. To make these ideas practical, the Stoics devised several mental exercises. One of the most famous is premeditatio malorum, literally, the premeditation of evils. While it sounds rather grim, It is actually one of the most powerful tools against anxiety. The core idea is to intentionally visualize potential misfortunes beforehand, usually while you're in a calm state. What if I lose my job? What if I get seriously ill? What if my loved one walks away? The goal is not to work yourself up or dwell in misery, but rather to prepare in advance. First, you realize that many of your worst-case scenarios are vastly exaggerated. Second, you can proactively think through a realistic plan of action. And third, when that misfortune actually happens, it no longer catches you entirely off guard. Essentially, you are giving yourself an emotional inoculation against life's inevitable setbacks. Let's imagine this scenario. Say you have a fear of public speaking. Instead of trying to push that thought away, you sit down and vividly picture the absolute worst-case scenario. You walk onto the stage, your mind goes blank, you start stammering, and the audience starts laughing at you. Really immerse yourself in that feeling. Now ask yourself, so what? Am I going to die? Is the world going to end? The answer is no. It will be embarrassing, maybe painful, but you will absolutely survive it. Next, shift your focus to preparedness. What can I do to prevent this? Maybe prepare cue cards with key bullet points, or rehearse extensively in front of a mirror. And what if I do freeze up and forget everything? I'll have a solid backup plan. Make a light-hearted joke, or just skip to the next slide. This kind of thorough preparation drastically lowers anxiety and gives you a powerful sense of control. You stop being the victim of your fear and you become its manager. Another powerful technique is what we call the view from above. Marcus Aurelius, even while managing an entire empire and solving countless major and minor problems daily, relied on this visualization frequently. He would imagine Earth from space, a tiny marble floating in a vast, infinite void. Then he would zoom in, seeing the continents, the cities, and finally, the miniature human beings scurrying about their daily routines, consumed by their petty wars, their ambitions, and their fears. When viewed from this immense scale, his own troubles instantly seemed trivial. This exercise is critical for shedding our egocentrism. It helps us realize that the vast majority of things we stress so heavily about simply hold no cosmic relevance. Ultimately, it allows us to relax, let go of minor grievances, and focus instead on the things that are truly eternal. And perhaps the ultimate expression of Stoicism is the concept of amor fatiae, or love of fate. This isn't merely passive acceptance of everything that happens, it is an active, even joyful, affirmation. It's an attitude toward life where you don't simply tolerate events, but actively welcome them, no matter their nature. Why? Because every event, especially the difficult ones, is an opportunity to practice virtue. Losing a job is a chance to display courage and resourcefulness. Conflict with another person is an opportunity to practice fairness and patience. Sickness is a chance to demonstrate fortitude. The Stoic sees every problem not as an obstacle, but as a training ground, a gym for the spirit. They don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, they say, "Excellent, here is a chance to practice." This might sound hard, but let's try looking at it from another perspective. When we resist reality and get angry about things that have already happened, we are fighting a losing battle. It's like banging your head against a wall. Amor Fati proposes that we stop struggling and instead look to see if we can use those very stones to build something beneficial. This is a profound trust in life, the belief that everything that occurs can ultimately be leveraged for your personal growth. It is the art of turning poison into medicine. When you adopt this mindset, you become truly invulnerable. Not because bad things stop happening, but because you have learned to extract value from absolutely anything. Your happiness no longer depends on whether good or bad events occur in your life. It's crucial to understand that Stoicism isn't some quick fix or a magic pill for happiness. It is an ongoing daily practice. It's essentially mental hygiene. You wouldn't brush your teeth just once in your life, would you? Similarly, you have to constantly reinforce these core principles. Marcus Aurelius famously wrote his Meditations. not for public consumption, but purely for himself. It was his personal diary, a daily ritual for him to calibrate his internal compass. Reading the Stoics, journaling, and mindfully applying the dichotomy of control, even in minor situations, all of these habits gradually help you to rewire your brain. Initially, this process requires real effort, but eventually it becomes second nature. You begin to respond to the world more calmly, consciously, and, ultimately, more wisely. To summarize, Stoicism offers us a profound shift in perspective. It shifts the focus from the uncontrollable external world to our inner domain, which is entirely within our power. The philosophy maintains that the quality of our life is defined not by what happens to us, but by how we interpret and respond to it. It is a philosophy rooted in personal responsibility and inherent strength. Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of trouble, but it provides the tools needed to face those challenges with dignity, tranquility, and courage. And it is precisely in this response, the Stoics believe, that we find true, unwavering happiness, a happiness that nothing and no one can ever take away from you, because it resides fundamentally within. So, what is the Stoics' 30-second formula for happiness? Here it is, incredibly simple. Happiness is mastering the ability to distinguish what is within your control from what is outside of it, and then focusing all your energy solely on the former. That's the whole secret. It's not about chasing external success or waiting for ideal conditions to align. It's about the daily work you put into your inner world. The great irony here is that when you stop frantically chasing things outside your control, things like recognition, wealth, or perfect relationships, you gain an inner strength and stillness that acts like a magnet. It starts drawing much better external circumstances into your life. You become the captain who confidently steers their ship through any storm. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If the philosophy of the Stoics resonated with you and you want to learn how to apply these principles in your life, please hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It truly helps us create more insightful content like this. And finally, I have a question for you. Who is a modern Stoic that comes to mind? Maybe a famous figure, or even someone in your own life. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's discuss.